Hi everyone, my name is Binti Hasan. I and my friend Kshika, Edzham, Ezzauddin and Kartigen Naidu will explain about our experiment limiting reactant. Limiting reactant in chemical reaction is a reactant that is totally consumed when the chemical reaction is complete. The concept limiting reactant, for example, I'm using the non-chemical reactant. I want to bake brownies. Then I have 3 boxes of brownies mix that each package need 2 eggs. So the balance equation is 1 box mix plus 2 eggs transformed to 1 batch brownies. If we have 12 eggs, how many brownies we can prepare? Each box need 2 eggs and we have 3 box mix, so we need 6 eggs. Then we have 6 eggs left. The ratio egg to box mix 2:1, the ratio possession 6:1. So we conclude that eggs are reactant while brownies mix limiting reactant. Example for chemical, we have poor titanium. Titanium contain oxide minerals react with solid carbon and chlorine gas to form titanium tetrachloride and carbon dioxide. Titanium tetrachloride convert to metallic titanium by reaction with molten magnesium metal at high temperature. How can we know which material was limiting reactant? First, we have calculate number of mole each reactant. Second, divide the actual number of moles each reactant by its fixed mole ratio. Then the reactant with the smallest mole ratio is limiting reactant. Back to the example, with 1 kg titanium tetrachloride and 200 g of magnesium metal, we have calculate number of mole each reactant. To calculate the mole each reactant, mass of reactant divide by molar mass of reactant. Then we got the mole of titanium tetrachloride is 5.272 mole and mole of magnesium 8.23 mole. Step 2. Divide the actual number of moles each reactant by its fixed mole ratio. And we got that titanium tetrachloride is 5.272 while magnesium 4.12. Step 3. The reactant with the smallest mole ratio is limiting reactant. So we have magnesium 4.2, so the magnesium with the value is limiting reactant. Then we have to determine the percentage yield. What is the percentage yield? It is the percent ratio of actual yield to theoretical yield. The formula to find the percentage yield is actual yield divided by theoretical yield multiplied by 100%. Why percent yield is important? It is to compare the yield of product actually obtained and all the reactants were converted with no loss and waste.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Ezzauddin and my student number is TG20068. Today I would like to talk about the methodology of this experiment. It starts by measuring of Na3PO4 and 12H2O and BaC12 and 2H2O and transfer them to a beaker level 4 milliliter and added 2 milliliter of deoxidized water. Then stir Stir the mixture with a stirring rod for about 1 minute and allow the participant to settle and leave the stirring rod in the beaker. Afterward, cover the beaker with a watch glass and warm the solution for about 30 minutes. After that, remove the heat and allow the participant to settle. Once the participant has settled, carefully decant 2 ml value of supermentate into a separate beaker. Label the two beaker as beaker 1 and beaker 2. Remove the filter paper and participate from the funnel and transfer it to the watch glass. And place it and place the filter paper and the watch glass in an oven overnight. Weight the dry participant on the filter paper and determine the weight of the participant. Wet the filter paper and use it to filter the remaining warm solution. In beaker 1, we will add 2 drops of reactant 0.5 ml of BaCa2 to the 50 ml of the supernatant liquid in beaker 1. If the participant from the PO4 is exceeded and BA is the limiting reactant in the mixture, originally a salt mixture. In beaker 2, add 2 drops of test reactant 0.5 ml Na3PO4 to the 50 ml of the supernatant liquid. If the participant from the BA2 is exceeded and PO2 is limiting reactant in the original salt mixture. That is all for the methodology of the experiment.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about lab 5, and it will be exercise. Okay, the question is going to be 1.16 gram mix of solid salt, sodium sulfate and lead nitrate form an aqueous solution with the precipitation of lead sulfate. The precipitate was filtered and dry and its mass was determined to be 0.672 gram. The limiting reactant was determined to be sodium sulfate. And the question 1a, it's going to be write the molecule form of equation for the reaction. It's sodium sulfate plus lead nitrate plus it's going to be this form. It's going to be lead sulfate and plus sodium nitrate. And then 1b, it's going to be write the net ionic equation for the reaction, and this equation will be sodium sulfate plus lead nitrate plus it's going to be lead sulfate plus sodium nitrate. Okay, and then it's going to be cut off and will be combined, and the answer will be lead plus silver plus sulfate, it's equals to lead sulfate. And then I'm going to talk about 1c, that how many moles and grams of sodium sulfate are in the reaction, and 1 moles of sodium sulfate equals to 1 mole of lead sulfate, and a mass of lead sulfate is going to be 0.672 gram, and then molar mass of lead sulfate, it's going to be 303.26 gram per mole. Okay, and mole lead sulfate equals to mass lead sulfate divide molar mass lead sulfate, and the answer is going to be 0.002 mole. 1 mole of sodium sulfate equals to 1 mole of lead sulfate, and the answer was 0.02 mole of lead sulfate, and it's going to be times by 1, and the answer will be 0.02 mole of sodium sulfate. The mass of sodium sulfate is going to be sodium sulfate times molar mass of sodium sulfate, and it's going to be the answer 0.02 mole times 142.04 gram per mole, and the answer of final it's going to be 0.284 gram. And the last question 1D, what is the percent by mass of each salt in the mixer? And its mass sodium sulfate equals to mole sodium sulfate times molar mass sodium sulfate. The answer is going to be 0.284 gram, and mass of lead nitrate it's going to be 1.146 gram minus 0.284 gram. Sorry for the correction, and it's going to be 0.862 gram. The percent by the mass, it's mass divide total mass times 100, and the answer is going to be 24.8 gram. And then I'm going to be percent by mass lead nitrate, and the answer also the same. It's going to be times with mass and divide by total mass and times by 100, and it will be 75.2%. Okay, thank you, bye bye.
Hello, my name is Ezzauddin, and now I will explain about the result of this experiment. The precipitation of BA4 and PO4 form a salt mixture. The mass filter paper is 1.035 gram, and for the mass filter paper plus with the participant is 1.852 gram, and the mass of the participate is 0.817. Here are the table for the determination of limiting reactant. Beaker 1 participated is yes, and limiting reactant for this is BA2+, and the excess reactant is PO4 power of -3. For beaker 2, the participant is not doesn't participate, but it have the same limited as beaker 1 and excess reactant as beaker 1 also. Thank you.
Hi, we meet again. I am Norain. I want to explain about our discussion of experiment. Based on our data that we collect, we were able to execute this lab experiment with accuracy and precision. We were able to find the mass of filter and precipitate, mass of filter and mass of precipitate. We found this by creating a balanced chemical equation and using their molar ratio. With that, we can see excess in the reaction. During the experiment, PO4 -3 were accessing when added 2 drops of test reactant 0.5 m BaCl2 to the 50 ml of the supernatant liquid in beaker 1. We can see the precipitate forms as result. PO4 -3 is Ba2 positive, is the limiting reactant in the original salt mixture. Next, we went to test the excess Ba2 positive by add 2 drops of test reagent 0.5 m Na3PO4 to the 500 ml of the supernatant liquid in beaker 2. As the result, we can see the precipitate form, the Ba2 positive is the excess and Pa43 negative is the limiting reactant in the original salt mixture.
Hello, My name is Kshika of Meganathan and my metric number TG20064. The conclusion of the experiment was to achieve the objective of the lab to better understand the concept of limiting react. Let us look at the reaction under the investigation in this experiment. The reaction of the solid mixture that contain sodium phosphate and sodium dihydrogen phosphate, dodecahedride and barium chloride and deuterium. Next, pour the mixture into 400 beaker containing 200 ml deionized water. Then each of the beaker need to label on it. According from the result of the experiment, we will achieve the objective, and lastly we discover the limiting factor. At the complete of the experiment, we were able to know that limiting react using a mixture of 2 soluble salt. We were able also to find it out that what percentage of each substance in the mixture was made it up. Thank you.